The last thing I want to happen is for someone to come to me and say, actually, that's not how you do it.
Right.
Because great things happen when you have no idea what you're doing.
Same with making a first record, right?
Exactly. It's like, it's the same thing as the first Foo Fighters record. I recorded that in 5 days by myself, and I didn't have a producer, and I just had these song ideas, and I'm not the greatest drummer or guitar player or singer in the world, but I just needed to get this shit off my chest. So I went down the studio, did it there, and it turned out okay.
Well, the thing about a lot of music now is a lot of it is done on a computer and everything is made perfectly, and if you mess up or anything you can just go back in and fix it, and a lot of music just doesn't even, it's just computer generated sound. And not that there's a big problem with that, there's a lot of people that do that I think have a lot of creativity, but when that kind of dominates the industry, I think we kind of lose the human aspect of music. I think a lot of music out there doesn't really, you're not really buying that a human being is playing it for you and that it's coming from somewhere inside them, and that you're not really buying that everything that's happening is from kind of their soul pretty much. It's all pretty much really formulaic, and pretty much a lot of it now is just generated by a computer and just made perfect, and you kind of lose the poetic sense of music when you do that, and you kind of lose kind of the whole basic idea of what music means to humanity.
When I told everybody that we were going to make our last record to tape, you know, the last Foo Fighters record we made to tape because I wanted it to sound like the Foo Fighters. I didn't want anyone to have the option of manipulating the way the band sounds. So I didn't want one fucking computer plugged into anything, because that would give someone direct access to the sound wave and to be able to manipulate it in a way. So I thought, okay, we're going to make the record not only in my garage, but also to tape. And I called someone from management. I said, we're going to do it to tape. And they said, can you do that? I thought, what could be more simple than just hitting a red button and letting a tape reel fucking, you know?
Wait, Lord sounds like a girl.
Auto-tune. You want to see how I do it? I come up with all my best stuff in the bathroom at work. I use this program to import the recordings I make on my phone. Yeah, feeling good on a Wednesday. Sparkling thoughts,
Give me the hope to go on. Oh, what I need now is a little bit of shelter.
Dad, Lord's music is actually really good.
Thanks, but it gets even better when I add the drum loops.
Yeah, feeling good on a Wednesday.
Then with the computer I can actually quantize everything,
Feeling good,
backup
good,
instruments,
sparkling thoughts.
and then finally I use the auto-tune.
Sparkling thoughts, feeling good on a Wednesday. Giving me the hope, giving me the hope to go on. What I need is a little bit of shelter.
Stan?
What I'm kind of afraid of right now with music is the music industry kind of taking over and playing more in the role of a business versus kind of a middleman to giving us our music, because a lot of the stuff I hear kind of produced by the music industry lately has been it's kind of like they're taking something that's becoming popular and then they're just taking it and exploiting it and kind of mass producing it and like producing watered down versions of something that's become popular to just kind of mass produce it and exploit it for money. And what I'm kind of worried about is that the music industry is kind of losing its touch with the human aspect of it and the emotional side, and kind of focusing more on how are we going to make money. And I think that's apparent because a lot of the artists now that are very popular aren't really that talented of people. Well, they might be talented singers or something, or just be a pretty face to put on the album, but what they do is they go in there and then the record company tells them everything to do. The producers tell them exactly what steps you need to take, tell them everything you need to do, and they produce the whole thing. They make sure everything's perfect, and then they just it's kind of crazy how easy it is for them for the artist to just go in there and just do everything the producer says and have nothing actually be organic from them. It's they're just used to kind of mass produce this music, and I'm kind of worried about where music is headed in that aspect.
A perfect case of this, of both the idea of inorganic beats and inorganic music being written on top of inorganic artists coming into the studio and following whatever the producers tell them, would be someone along the lines of Miley Cyrus, who doesn't write her own music, let alone write her own lyrics. And so although she's a great performer and a great entertainer, and she has a pretty face and she can push different producer agendas, she at the same time has no soul of her music. She may have a soul nonetheless, though. She doesn't have a soul in her music, and that's a dangerous feeling to know that we're getting more away from what once was a human art and is now an art that is more or less a drug. And in the sense that people listen to the music more for the bass or the way it makes their brain feel, and less for what the actual music's trying to tell them. And that can be a scary feeling to have. This is happening on the big scale and on a small scale. I can think back to a few months ago when I met this one 16-year-old at one of these church gatherings, and she was telling me about how her parents paid a producer $15,000 to write a song with the lyrics. And she went into the studio and she performed this country song, and they auto-tuned her voice on top of that. To me, that's plagiarism on so many different levels. And it doesn't pass as plagiarism because of the people getting actually paid, the producers, but to me it seems like you're just stealing someone else's work.
John Paul Jones is, without a doubt, the most brilliant musician I've ever worked with in my entire life. So we would listen to the drums. Okay, we got the drums. Now we'd listen to the bass. We'd listen to the bass, and I'd hear like these really small pick scratches, or speeding up a tiny bit, or a weird fret. John Paul Jones would listen to it all the way through and say, yeah, no, that's cool. Sounds great. Now, a modern day producer would hear all of that and say, no, we got to fix that. That's an inconsistency, or that doesn't doesn't sound perfect. Ultimately, what happens, what I've found, is that when you're listening to something that's pristine and perfect and looped or repeated, it kind of makes you tired in a weird way. Like it makes my ears tired. I don't know what it is.
But
Maybe
John
that
could listen to the whole thing as a overall deal. He could step back from it and not be like a player who's like, yeah, I gotta fix that. Like,
absolutely. He could appreciate the performance, you know? And going back and listening to his music or Paul's music or Stevie's music, I listen to that stuff now, and I'm starting to realize why I can still listen to it, you know? I don't know if I could listen to Ace of Base's The Sign as many times as I've listened to Kashmir.
right.
For lots of reasons, but mostly because I discover something new in a lot of these songs that were played organically every time I listen to them.
One of my favorite authors, his name is Aldous Huxley, and he was a genius. He had an IQ of 164. But he has a quote that goes something along the lines of, "After silence, that which expresses the inexpressible is music." And what that means to me is that music's an expression of the soul. And with this increasing era of electronic dance music, it gets people to have a more left-brained feeling where they can't connect to the soul, but they connect to fleeting emotions. If it continues to increase at the same rate that it is now, we might lose that essence in its completeness within the next couple decades. And that's something that worries me as an artist.
I never felt like I am going to be on the cover of Modern Drummer magazine because I'm the best fucking drummer in the world. I just knew that if you put me on stage without a fucking PA or floor monitors in a small club, that I would beat the fucking shit out of my drums so much that people go, "God damn, did you see that fucking drummer?
Right.
Whoa." And I'd walk away from every show like, there you go. I just beat the fucking piss out of those things, and people saw it.
People took notice, for sure.
And that was great. So at the end of the show, I was a successful musician because I had achieved what I wanted to achieve. And if you really, honestly, like I said, if you're passionate and driven and focused in what you do, if you're really fucking good at it, people will take notice. That's basically it. I mean, I don't understand the industry. I don't understand where music is headed. I don't really understand technology. I just know that when you walk into a club and you see a band that blows you away, you are going to follow that band.
Can you imagine what kind of message this is? There's a lot to be said. So place a bet, ladies and gentlemen, gather round, 'cause we've got a 21st century original sound.